Hello, grab those post-it notes, open up that Excel sheet or pull out that notebook, and let's fill out your Perkins time card for your Adult Learning Academy course build. I have two documents that I've prepared to open today. The first one is going to be the intent to work, and the second one is going to be the time and effort timesheet that you received. We're going to open up the intent to work just to make sure that we have the right information to put onto the time card. At the bottom is where the course name that's been approved, the start date, and the end date are listed. I'm going to need the MAR 1055. Yours obviously will be math or it will be CAD, and whatever your prefix is, that's what you're going to make sure that you have to put on your time card. And then you're going to make sure that your hours do not start before the start date and do not go beyond the end date. On your time card, at the top, your name and your S number, this is not my real S number, and the day, month, end of the time period are all going to be auto-populated, and these will be on each tab that you receive. It is okay if you do not use every tab. Starting on the first tab, for my purposes, the day and month pay period ends on November 16th. And as I showed you, my start date is 11/7. Therefore, I cannot put anything on this time card prior to November 7th. Scrolling down to the bottom portion is where we are going to put our adult learning build information. Every time card has to have the same assignment regardless of the prefix used. For example, CTE Adult CD Academy 4. These words will be on everyone's time card regardless of your prefix. Next to this is where we're going to enter the prefix that is listed on your intent to work document. So again, CTE Adult CD Academy 4 is the category and then the prefix of the course that was approved. For adjuncts, you are also going to be required to enter your hours below this section, and we'll discuss that in a few minutes. Next to your description is the drop down for the funding type. Scroll down and select Perkins. Now again, my intent to work does not start until the 7th, so I'm going to start on the 7th. This is likely going to be around the time that you have your kickoff meeting, you start working with your designer. You're just going to bunch all of the hours for that one day into this particular timesheet. So perhaps I did 3 hours on the 7th between meetings and doing some initial work. And a couple of days later, I did 5 hours. And a few days later, I did 1 hour. And maybe I had a meeting with my designer and did a little bit of work afterward, and I did 2 hours. Because the pay day ends on the 16th, I cannot go beyond the 16th on this particular timesheet. We're going to come back to this, but I'm going to show you how to continue if you're filling this in at the end of the workload. Going now to the next timesheet, I would start on the 17th. So scrolling down into that next section, pasting in my CTE Adult CD Academy for MAR 1055, I can start on the 17th with the hours for that day and work accordingly. It's really important that you're following the dates that are listed in line 13 when you're filling out this time card. Let's go back to the first tab. You have completed 11 hours for this pay period. There's a couple of more things that you have to fill in. Down below the timesheet, in lines 35 through 40, is an area to add the descriptions. Ideally, when you had your kickoff meeting or you met with your designer, what we talked about was creating categories for the different things that you're doing. Meetings with IDC, that it can include kickoff meetings, that can include anytime you meet with your designer, anytime you're meeting with one or more people with the IDC, that can be a category. Your D2L build, so your assignments, your discussions, those can be categories. We don't need it super nuanced, but we want to make sure that if and when this is audited, it's clear what we spent time doing. For this pay period, we need to account for those 11 hours. I'm going to put down that 3 hours were meeting with IDC, and I'm going to put down that 5 hours was recording videos. So this could like your introduction video, maybe some announcement videos, lecture videos, that sort of thing. And I spent 3 hours doing D2L discussion questions. And that is a total of 11 hours. Again, trying to find the balance between a category that's general enough that you don't have to have a lot of lines, but also is detailed enough that for an audit, it makes sense what you're doing in your course. And you're going to do that for each of the pay periods. For adjuncts, the other thing that you will need to do is fill in the courses that you have been assigned and the time that you work those courses. For instance, if I was teaching MAR 2043 online and I was teaching, maybe I was teaching 2 sections of MAR 2043. This comes out of General Fund. Now, with the time for adjuncts, for each 3-credit class, or for each credit of the class, you're given 1 hour plus 1. So for a 3-hour class, you have 4 hours a week. For a 4-hour class, you have 5 hours a week. What we want to make sure is that you're not overloading yourself on the days that you're also working on the grant. I perhaps worked 2 hours and 2 hours. I don't have to account for this anywhere else. I just have to account for the work that I've done on my classes. And you will do this work for each one of the tabs. Going back to that second tab, when the pay period started on the 16th, and I've added in my 7 hours, perhaps I worked one more day and I put in a couple of more hours, so now I have 9 hours to account, and I have to remember to include my adjunct work. And again, starting with when the pay period started. So it's okay. Maybe I only did an hour here, 2 hours here, an hour here. And I'm going to then put my totals. In this particular week, I had, again, 9 hours to account for. Perhaps 2 of those were meeting with IDC. 3 hours were integrating readings. This could be an OER. This could be pulling in the PDFs that you want them to read, etc. And 4 hours creating assignments for a total of 9. All right. So this is what you're going to do, and then you're going to make sure that at the end of the time, you only have the amount of hours listed on your intent to work, which is very likely going to be 40. If you use less than that, that's great. Obviously, you can't go over. When you are done, you're going to send your Excel document, save it. I recommend adding your last name at the beginning of this, just because your designers are probably working with more than one person, and it will help keep it simplified for them. Save it somewhere on your computer, and then you're going to send it to your designer. Your designer will then go over it, make sure that everything is correct, and they will send the Adobe PDF version back for you to sign, and we were going to go over that in another video. Have a great day.